If you're going to re-sign Dak Prescott, when exactly do you think is a good idea to do that? And if you're not going to re-sign Dak Prescott, what are we doing in 2025?
Either you start the rebuild or you commit to Dak long term. There is no in between, and they're trying to make an in between that doesn't exist.
And they freed up $4.5 million. They tacked on some void years. They got his permission to do it.
I don't know what your team building strategy is then. If you're just going to go 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you can't do it.
I don't see the vision here at all. And it really feels like the Cowboys are just waiting until the last possible minute. If you follow the Dallas Cowboys for any length of time, you shouldn't be surprised.
And I just got one more thing to say. How about them Cowboys?
What's going on, Cowboy Nation and Angry Cowboy fans around the world? Y'all know who it is. It's your boy, the Angry Cowboys Fan, back with another video on our Dallas Cowboys. So if you're DC for life and you're ready to join the ride that we call Cowboys Nation, buckle up by hitting that subscribe button and get ready for one hell of a ride. Today, I came across Dave Helman's podcast on Fox. He and his guest, Carmen Vitali, were talking about the loss of Tyron Smith. During that conversation, Carmen goes on a rant when it comes to Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys front office getting the deal done. So I want to play those two clips that I got for you, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to come back and unpack my raw and uncut. So, Angry Cowboys fans, let's take a listen.
And this goes back to setting Dak Prescott up for success. You've got a decision to make when it comes to Dak Prescott, or rather, he's got a decision to make whether or not he wants to stay with a franchise that, for all intents and purposes, has not set him up for success. He gets you as far as he can in the regular season. That falls apart in the playoffs. I'm not absolving Dak Prescott of all of the responsibility there, but you think that if maybe you fortified the line so that the Dallas Cowboys offensive line actually lived up to what its reputation used to be, and getting Dak Prescott some good receivers other than CeeDee Lamb, and making sure that he's got a good backfield to lean on. Do you not think that that would help you get over the hump if you're the Dallas Cowboys in the postseason? It baffles me. It absolutely baffles me.
It baffles me too, Carmen. But Carmen gets it. She's talking about doing what I and a lot of Dallas Cowboy content creators have been asking this entire offseason. The Dallas Cowboys setting Dak Prescott up with a great supporting cast. Last year, so much flack was given to Dak Prescott for his performance in the game against the Green Bay Packers. According to some who will be watching this video, Dak is the main issue when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys reaching an NFC championship or even a Super Bowl. Never mind all the stuff. According to these, and this is the only term that I can call you guys, Dak haters, you get a new quarterback and it's straight to the Super Bowl we go. You can even put the two backups we have in the game and they'll do better than Dak Prescott. I am so glad that the majority of Cowboys Nation understands that Dak may not be the only option, but he is the only viable option we have. Let's go ahead and move to the second clip that I got for you. In this clip, Carmen continues to drive a point home when it comes to getting the deal sealed with Dak Prescott. So let's go ahead and listen to that clip so I can give y'all my raw and uncut. Take it away, Carmen.
You just handed him $40 million in 2025, whether or not he's on your roster. So, well, of course, Dak agreed to that because he's like, this doesn't mean anything. This means that I get $40 million from you, even if I decide to go somewhere else and get a max contract somewhere else, because make no mistake, if Dak Prescott is allowed to hit free agency next year for the 2025 season, he will be at the top of that free agent class, and there will be an all-out bidding war for him. Good quarterback play is too hard to come by in this league. Coaches have too many egos. There's absolutely coaches and GMs out there that think if Dak Prescott's on my roster, we win a Super Bowl. Point blank, period. So this was a very 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach, which we've seen from the Cowboys in multiple contracts, multiple big deals, multiple of their best players. They're not willing to fully commit, but they're also not willing to sit back and do nothing because that's not exactly an option either. You can't let him hit the cap for $60 million in 2024 either. But it's just, you need to make a decision. You need to say, all right, we're committing to Dak long term and give him the value that he deserves and would get even on the open market, give him a max deal for a quarterback. Or you say, he hasn't gotten us over the hump, we're not willing to do that. And then you make moves to try and shed his contract, not add more to void years in the future that Dak will get whether or not he's on the roster. It is just, it's a kind of a coward's way out. Although that's probably going to really piss off some Dallas fans.
That's what we're talking about, Cowboys Nation. You gotta do something. If you're gonna blow it up, then blow it up. If you're going to extend Dak Prescott, stop with all the shenanigans, Jerry, and just get the deal done. She started off that clip with a great point. The Dallas Cowboys owe Dak Prescott $40 million next year. If you get rid of Dak Prescott next year, you will be paying a quarterback who is not even on your roster and is playing for another team. Who in their right mind would do such a thing? Not only that, Dak Prescott has elevated his game to an all-pro level. He contributed to CeeDee Lamb being an all-pro and being able to ball out of control and break records. I don't know about you, but isn't that elevating another person on the team? He helped elevate CeeDee Lamb to break records. Let that sink in. Y'all ready for my Raw and Uncut? Y'all ready? Let's get it. I don't know how many times I have to have this argument in the comment section. Dak Prescott is a great quarterback. He improves his play each and every time he steps on that field. If he has an issue, he works on it, so it isn't an issue the following season. Remember him leading the league in the interceptions? Well, how many times did they talk about that when he was leading the league? And how many times do they talk about that now? They really don't talk about it, do they? So they'll go back to the good old topics of Dak not being able to take his team to a championship. But here's another question I've got for you. Have you ever played football or any team sport? Not in my 32 years of watching football have I ever seen a quarterback be able to do it by himself. It just doesn't happen, Cowboys Nation. People will talk about Joe Burrow not having a line when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, but if you don't have a line, you would literally get tackled as soon as you got the damn ball. Just look at what happened in the last play of the 2022 playoffs when Zeke was the center. They rushed 2 people and got to Dak quick. So a quarterback needs a good offensive line to succeed. If you look at the last year's playoff game, the ones who had a great run game and a great defense were the ones who made it to the Super Bowl. It really boggles my mind when people thought we would make it to the Super Bowl without a run game or a run defense. Then, when we don't make it to where people expect us to make it, they talk about how great the team was and how there was zero excuses other than the quarterback play. People who say that must not have been watching the same game that I was watching. Another thing I don't get is when people say that Dak needs pieces. People start to talk about Dak shouldn't need pieces placed around him. If he's a great quarterback, he shouldn't need all these pieces. It's as if Dak is expected to take an average team and get him to the Super Bowl. It's like it's up to him to make that happen. So what if your front office only bargain shops? So what if the ball is hitting the receivers in the hands and they're dropping them or they're deflecting them to cause an interception? So what if you don't have a run game to help take some of that pressure off you? No, Dak is supposed to magically get that done. Let's take this comment on one of my videos, for instance. The commenter said, "You see, this is what happens with you Dak lovers. You want him to have this perfect team. No one has a perfect team. Our roster was loaded and he still performed terribly. Also, the cap space is too small for the organization to get him game changers on every side of the ball. Our roster last year was more than enough for any contending above average quarterback to be competitive in the playoffs, especially against the Packers. Dak bombs again in the playoffs. He doesn't have the mental capacity to perform well under that kind of pressure. It just isn't him. That's his identity, and it ain't gonna change. This commenter must not have been watching the same game that I was watching. Honestly, this person must not have been watching the same season that I've been watching. The roster was loaded, but we couldn't stop the run. The roster was loaded, but sports analysts everywhere were saying if CeeDee Lamb twisted his ankle, the Cowboys wouldn't have any weapons aside of Jake Ferguson. The roster was loaded, that our red zone conversion sucked and we couldn't score when we were 2 yards away from the end zone. Let me guess. That's Dak's fault, right? It throws me for a loop because we all see what the Joneses do when it comes to free agency. We see that they don't get the team any weapons that can put them over the hump. They would rather get someone to fill a roster spot cheaply instead of someone who might be a little bit pricey, but will make a huge impact for the team. Let me guess. That's Dak's fault, right? These same people will tell you that the team should put a person in for Dak that has competed for a backup spot in Trey Lance. They would rather have someone who 31 other teams passed up on in Cooper Rush. They would rather take a chance in the draft instead of adding to the team we already have and improving it. Adding to your second team all-pro quarterback. Let me guess. Y'all are the type to mess up while writing a letter and throw the entire piece of paper in the trash instead of just using the eraser. Now that Tyler Biadasz and Tyron Smith are gone, the focus needs to be fortifying that offensive line, getting a better rushing attack, and getting run stoppers on the defense. Now is not the time to get rid of the player that is statistically improving to gamble on someone that's unproven. You think Dak isn't it? Get him a dog at the halfback position to take some of the pressure off of him. You worried about Dak's interceptions? Get him some dogs to ensure the most the opposing team comes away with is 3. Dak Prescott does have what it takes to help get this team over the hump. Not one quarterback wins the Super Bowl with only 1 threat on the offense and 3 threats on the defense. This has been your boy, the Angry Cowboys fan. What did you think about what Dave Helman and Carmen had to say? Do you agree or do you disagree with signing Dak Prescott to an extension? If not, who do you feel that is available can get the Dallas Cowboys to a Super Bowl this year? Let's have that conversation in the comments section. If you're digging the content and want to help the channel grow even more, hit that like button. It truly helps with the algorithm and getting this content out to even more Dallas Cowboy fans. If you're DC for life and you want to cheer on the Dallas Cowboys with like-minded individuals, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell so you can stay notified whenever I go live or whenever I release a video. We are currently at 6,694 subscribers. Y'all think we can get to 7,000 before the start of the preseason? I need your help in doing so. The Dallas Cowboys have no other option at the quarterback position that can get us to at least the playoffs. Dak Prescott has proven that he can lead this team to that point. Instead of blowing everything up, let's get this man's deal done, relieve the cap a little bit, and add pieces that we need so we can try to overcome the barricade, which is the early exit to the playoffs. This has been your boy, the Angry Cowboys fan, and I'm out. And if you made it this far in the video, congratulations. You are the few to be put on to some new information. Your boy will be starting the Angry Cowboys Fan podcast back up very soon. I'll be having the call-in line. I'll be having the live line so we can have more dialogue between us two and so we can stay up to date on what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm starting the podcast so you can have me in your earbuds just in case you got to work or you're on the go or you're jogging or you're working out. You can listen to the Angry Cowboys Fan podcast. So make sure you watch out for the Angry Cowboys Fan podcast. And remember to stay DC for life.